All right, in today's lesson, we will be talking about castling. Now, castling is a special move where you can move both the king and the rook in the same move. Now, for you true beginners and beginners, why is castling extremely important for us to learn? Well, it turns out that castling is in direct line with chess theory, or one of the most important things about understanding the game of chess. Now, it tends to protect the king safely behind the pawns, as you will soon see, and it activates the rook. Now, as true beginners and beginners, your chess instructors, teachers, and masters, we all encourage you. You'll hear us over and over and say, castle early. Castle, castle, castle. And one of the reasons we say this is because it extends your game. It's going to draw out your game so that you're not going to be checkmated in 4 to 12 or 20 moves, but the game goes longer, okay? And it allows you to develop more of your pieces to put them in tactical positions in order to attack your opponent's king and hopefully get him or her in checkmate. So let's talk about castling. Now, there's two types of castling. One is known as the kingside castling, which I'm pointing to, which is on the king side, or we can also call this short side castling. And then on the opposite side would be the queen side, or the long side castling. So let me go ahead and show you what kingside castling looks like. In order for castling to occur, the first thing we must make sure of is that there's no pieces in between the king and the rook. And right now we don't have any pieces. So we're going to kind of play a game, and he moves over here. Now it's going to be Lemonade's turn to move, and he has decided to castle king side. Now, the first thing that the Lemonade chess player needs to do is go ahead and touch the king and move him over 2 spaces. 1, 2. That's the second thing he does is he swings the rook around the king and directly right next to the king. And that's castling right there. You'll notice that he's protected inside of a castle. Chocolate's going to go ahead and do the same thing. 1, 2. The rook simply swings around the king and is directly next to the king, and we have castling set up. So there is short side castling. Now let's go ahead and talk about long side castling and what that looks like. Now, in order for long side castling to occur, it just happens on the other side. Same concept. King moves over 2 spaces. 1, 2. We stop. Next thing that needs to happen is the rook swings around the king, who's directly right next to the king, and we can see that he is protected. 1, 2. Swings around right next to the king. It's protected by the pawns and the rook. Okay, and that's long side or queen side castling. Now, often the question is asked, which side is better to castle? We're going to have him go ahead and castle short side. Short side better or is long side better? Well, the answer is this. It depends on the game that you are playing, and it depends against the situation that you're faced with. So that's the answer. It's not. Sometimes it's better to castle short side. Sometimes it's better to castle long side. But it depends on what your opponent is doing. Now, there are a couple of rules we need to consider in which we cannot castle at all in the game of chess. And there's 6 of them. The first one is this. If I move my rook right over here to g1, I will not be able to castle short side. All right? That's the first rule. The second rule is if he moves his other rook, he's not going to be able to castle long side. All right? So if you move either one of your rooks, you're not going to be able to castle to that side. In this example, I'm going to just go ahead and move this rook over here to c1. Chocolate's going to go ahead and castle kingside. Now, it's Lemonade's turn to move. He hasn't moved his king. He hasn't moved this rook, so he can go ahead and castle kingside as well. All right? Now, the last rule is this. If you move, well, it's not the last rule. The third rule is this. If you move your king at all, you cannot castle in the game of chess. So he's going to move over 1 space to d1. Well, he can't castle in this game. be Chocolate's turn to move. Chocolate still has a can choose if he wants to castle short side or long side. Now there's a couple other rules. There's 3 more rules that have to deal with castling in situations where you cannot castle. Now the first one is this. I'm just going to go ahead and take off some pieces. Place that piece there, and let's do this. Okay, now the first rule is this: you can't castle out of check. We're going to pretend that it's Lemonade's turn to move. He moves his rook over here to coordinate e3, directly attacking the king. This is check. You cannot castle out of check. Sometimes beginning chess players or novices, not novices, I'm sorry, true beginners and beginners will try to castle out of check. And the opponent will say, well, that's an illegal move. You cannot castle out of check. And they're absolutely right. So you cannot castle out of check. What would have to happen is you have to block that line of attack. And you can do that with the knight right over here. Then Lemonade would actually have to make a move. And now you can castle safely because you've blocked check. So kind of keep that in mind. That he's blocked, he can castle. Now, the next thing is that you cannot castle through the line of check. And what that means is this. Let me go ahead and bring out a bishop. And we're going to bring this bishop from c1 to coordinate g5. Notice that diagonal line of attack right over here at coordinate d8, right over here. If Chocolate tries to castle, we're going to discover that this is an illegal move. Now, obviously you can never put your own king in check, so we always want to keep that in mind. So what happens when we try to castle? Well, we go through the rules, okay? King moves over 2 spaces, illegal move because you're in check, so he has to go back, and you cannot castle through the line of check. Now, the third rule of chess is simply this. Let me go ahead and put that bishop back, and we'll go ahead and bring out another bishop. I'm going to place this bishop right over here at coordinate f5. Oh, I got to take this pawn off. Whoops. So he moves over here to h5. You can't castle into check, so if he moves over here, obviously this is an illegal move because you can't put your own king in danger or in check. So kind of keep that in mind, as that would be an illegal move. So you can't castle out of check. You can't castle through the line of check, and you cannot castle into check. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring out, I'm not going to bring out all of Black's pieces or Chocolate's pieces, but I will bring out all of Lemonade's pieces, because I want to show you what you would have to do to castle. Because in this position, when we're starting chess, we can't castle. We have to get the pieces out. So if we want to castle, let's say we want to castle a short side, what would have to happen is this. And now we can castle. 1, 2, right over here. That's one way we can castle. There's many different ways as to how we can castle, but that's the quickest way of castling. Another way would be, perhaps we do this. Oh, let's go ahead and play this. And now we can castle long side, right over here. So we're going to have to move some pieces in particular positions to get them set up in order to castle. So let's keep that in mind. So quick review about castling. You get to do it once in the game. Castling's between the king and the rook. You cannot castle if you've moved either one of your rooks. That's rule number 1. If I move this rook, I can't castle. If I move this rook, I can't castle. If I move this king, I can't castle at all. You can't castle 4 out of check, 5 through the line of check, and 6 into check. So kind of keep those things in mind. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to talk to your chess instructors, your chess teachers, your chess masters, or else post a question onto this page. We are more than thrilled to hear from you guys. And we want to thank you for watching.